Hello everyone. Today we are going to celebrate and delve into the 2 years that I have spent on this channel developing my game, Ruins of Mounri. This is a tradition I think I might want to continue in the future. I've never done anything like this before, and I want to kind of tell a story with this video. So without further ado, let's get into Ruins of Mounri, 2 years of development. January 26th, 2019. A normal day. A day nobody expected, a terrible disaster that would ruin the first episode of my game development log. This first episode is one I personally despise. One that is a joke to the series. And one that has tainted it for the months to come until I changed up the meta in devlog number 4. This was the first time I unveiled my game into the world, and I really regret this because back then I really didn't know what I was doing. Myself back in 2019 was kind of secretive in this first episode, the first few episodes actually, about what my intentions are for the game. And I kind of regret that, but I'm kind of glad I didn't really spill all of the info that I wanted to do with the game, because I ended up changing direction very quickly with where I wanted to go with the game. One thing I'm disappointed about though is that I feel with that terrible first episode, I let a lot of people down and maybe even turned people off from watching the series. This first year was filled with 4 episodes, all containing content I had added into my game. It all started with the animations and movement, but eventually I implemented a camera system and a lighting engine I heard about from Sean Spalding and downloaded from the GM Marketplace. There was a struggle getting these 2 systems to work nicely, but a tutorial by Pixelated Pope helped me design what I call the best camera system you can make for Game Maker. Eventually I went on to create a combat system along with a projectile and particle system. This is actually when the zombie was introduced as the first enemy in the game. Combat was very basic at this stage. There were only a few weapons like the bow, and the game just wasn't really that ready and wasn't really fun to play. I eventually added a particle system into the game, which was based off of the code I used for projectiles. This was all tied together in game devlog number 4, which was released on Christmas Day in 2019. That was at the very end of 2019, and 1 year of development was coming upon us. So now let's get into 2020, the second year of development. 2020 has been crazy. Starting off with rumors of war, a US president being impeached, and the coronavirus, we knew we were in for a wacky ride. 2021 also hasn't had the best start, but we aren't here for politics. Despite being one of the worst years, 2020 was actually a very good year for development on the game, even if it didn't start out that way. You see, in February of 2020, I announced that I was having some trouble rewriting a lot of the code I made in the game. The code was all like spaghetti code. It was a big huge mess. It involved a lot of player routines, and as I was going through and rewriting it, I was finding a lot of issues with this sort of spaghetti code. Eventually, development continued. I even decided to gut the old lighting engine I had added into the game and made one based off of a tutorial by GM Wolf. Getting out of the rough patch and the lighting engine boosted performance along with my confidence and self-esteem. But shortly after that, quarantine was placed into effect in the United States. But this was just the start of the progress. Game Devlog Episode 5 was one where I made a lot of drastic decisions, and I feel I nailed the new meta that was established by Episode 4. The techniques of chunking up information into bite-sized bits in a video is something that I am still using today, and I'm even using it in this video. Shortly after that video, I began experimenting with AI, and this isn't the sort of artificial intelligence or neural networks, this was game AI. This was my first time actually doing something like this, and if you're wondering, the little nerdy tidbits, my code is actually based off of a tutorial from Friendly Cosmonaut. I recommend you check them out. They're pretty cool game maker, Studio 2 YouTuber, a lot of helpful tips. My AI is kind of based off of those videos, but to be fair, a lot of the things I've done, like the AI routines, are kind of split up a lot differently. But yeah, anyone I've mentioned in this video, You really need to check them out. They really helped me out with my first ever game. They will help you out too. Go check them out. With AI, the zombie that had been in my game for around a year finally felt like a real zombie. And I think I'd even mentioned a dog once, but hey, we don't talk about that. The dog is out of the game. Anyways, I released a whole video detailing the AI, and I think I could have gone more into detail since I've rewritten the system and I could make an in-depth video on how it works. Maybe, just maybe if you want that. After that, I wanted to focus on an item system, but I ultimately got distracted. You see, I kinda wanted to focus on making the game more user-friendly, and I started planning a public release. Not an official release, not a beta release, but a demo, a prototype. The prototype is when my focus really became on the user. I made the demo levels better, I worked hard on levels to show off in the trailer, I made an itch.io page and everything, but I missed something, and this something led to what I deem a failure. To be honest, I'm not proud of the prototype. Even though I was at the time, I was very enthusiastic about it. The levels were boring, and I didn't even have a name for the game. I thought of the name after the prototype. After the prototype, it led me to retreat, and I took a little break from the game, and that's where I came up with the name based off of some of the lore I released in the prototype, and that's where I got the name Ruins of Mounri. After my break, I began to work on the 5th alpha phase of development, and while it has been a rough one, it has improved a lot of things. Game Maker Studio updated to 2.3, AI has been rewritten, we now have a proper tutorial and title screen, there have been changes to particles, and a lot more to unpack. This 5th alpha phase marks a new era for development, one where I am proud, one where I can feel like I am playing an actual game. All this to say, I want to plan something big for 2021. I'm also very proud to be working on this game. It's something I really want to do. And although this isn't really a devlog, it kind of feels like one, kind of going over some of the stuff I've added 2 years ago. It's crazy, you guys. Happy 2 years, and here is to progress, and hopefully a true beta release of my game, Ruins of Mounri, will be coming out soon. I've mentioned some months, but I don't think I'm gonna hit those goals. But honestly, guys, thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.